rishis of India were not merely a blind and utopian thinkers with no practical application in the way of life of the people. Their intention was not merely to speculate upon the reality of the world, reality behind the world, but their idea was, how can we train the humanity to live cohesively in society, each one doing his job as best as he can and enrich the community? Therefore, they evolved a philosophy of living. And it is even today the most satisfactory blueprint of a successful man's life. Why man's life? Even the community and society and the world. He insisted that in this blueprint, a child from the childhood onward is education. Give him a training to respect and revere certain essential values of this self-discipline. They are called Dharma. These values were insisted upon and made it a part and parcel of the educated children. And based upon these values, without any compromise to these values, let them go out in the world, work hard, earn honestly, save if they want to save, or spend as they want. Artha, wealth must be created only when the mind is well disciplined in Dharma. Even in the army, you don't give your guns to people, youngsters with broad shoulders, no doubt, but you don't give them the guns unless you're disciplining them properly. Disciplined people alone can really be the strength of an army. This personal discipline is very important. See? In the same way here, first discipline the mind, inculcate these great values of life to them, and then let them out in the society. Let them honestly sweat and toil and create wealth for the society as well as for themselves. And with that wealth, so honestly made, let them fulfill their desires. For rishis were not impractical people. He did not say that everybody must give up all their desires. On the other hand, he said, Dharma, Artha, wealth, and with that wealth, fulfill your desires. Dharma, Artha, Kama. Marry, beget children, have a building, etc. Whatever that you want, your desires you fulfill with the wealth you have earned through the right values of life. When an individual has thus lived in self-discipline, served the society, earned the money, served the society, and lived, it is to such an individual that the right to withdraw from life's activities and strive in contemplation, meditation for higher spiritual path, Moksha. Thus, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha was that blueprint that has been given by these great rishis for a human being to live a full life. All these, Dharma itself is gone out now from this society. That concept of higher values have gone. From the Second World War onwards, values have been crumbled down. You do anything that you like in order to fulfill what your plans are. Hitler brought about. We can't say that Stalin did not help it. Mao certainly supported it. Today we are in a world where there is no moral self-control in the individual, and hence you find all these bleeding points in the world, whether it is in Iraq, or in the Middle East that we are seeing now, or the Lebanon, Iraq and Iran war. All these things are slightly sprung out because that value system has gone. Now when we say values, no doubt they had enumerated certain things as higher values and certain things as dangerous to the social happiness of humanity when they are living together as a community. In all of them, those values, the idea propounded or the idea behind it is whatever that you and I do in the world, when the action is springing from your own selfish desires, that action is amoral and very often immoral. But the very same action, undertaken with no selfishness at all, for the benefit of others, that very same physical action becomes a moral and ethical action. Actions by themselves is neither good or bad. But if out of my lust I kill some girl in the roadside, it becomes murder. But a doctor in the operation theatre, using the knife upon a girl to cure her, and if she collapses, the doctor is not called as a murderer. Action is the same. Under my knife also a girl died on the road. Under his knife a girl died in the operation theatre. Yet the doctors have not hung. I deserve to be hung because I've done something wrong. Now, action, external action remaining the same. One is a noble act, other is an ignoble, immoral act because of the motive behind. Right? So too, you soldiers, what are you doing there? In the front, you are seeing your enemy coming and you are shooting. Shooting not to frighten them, shoot to kill. But are you all murderers? But if I do with the gun, my neighbor, I shoot him down, I am a murderer. Why, I am murdering him. What is my motive? Because he is always looking at my wife, therefore I don't like it. My lust, my selfishness, my attachment. When thus my selfishness, when I act, the action becomes of low value, and the higher values are, to the extent I can, surrender my little ego for the benefit or for the love of other members of the community. So then this essential discipline is to learn to work, sinking your ego and acting in the world outside. Now it is said so, it is not easy. This can never be a practical method because without ego and selfishness, man cannot function. Whatever you do in life, all actions are oriented with the idea of I plus I want. If these two motivations are removed, man cannot function. As in deep sleep, you cannot function because there is neither I nor I want attitude. Without these two, action is not possible. Therefore, all the Western philosophers, nay, even modern thinkers, think that this, what is called as selfless action, is an impossible utopian theory. It is only at best a mere speculation. It is not a way of life. We sympathize for all those who are criticized. Inspired action springs forth where ego and selfishness are not there. That is when we are surrendering our ego at the altar of an ideal. Carefully. In the altar of love alone, you can rise above these debilitating, dangerous impulses within us, the ego and selfish desires. The man who is a hero in the war is a moment when he was inspired by his own love for the country, and he doesn't understand where is the danger, that I may be killed or I may die. That selfishness is gone. There springs forth from him, unknown to himself, such a great, courageous, heroic act. He himself is surprised at what happens at that time. Love of science, love of art, love of literature, Leela Majnu, various examples. Maybe the love between the two persons, love for the country, love for the community, love for certain ideals. It is there that we act without ego and selfish desires. When these two are not there, your instrument, the body itself, is made use of by some universal power for the benefit of all. This is the main theme in the Bhagavad Gita. It is called Karma Yoga. How to act in the world outside. Not what you act. Your profession needs your professional training. But when all this is done, it is you who have to function in the world. How am I to act? The art of action is propounded as in no other textbook in the world as in the Bhagavad Gita, especially in the 3rd chapter of the Gita. The modern man, I have tried it very many places around the world, the moment you start talking of moral, ethical values, their nose becomes smaller, lips come down. There's a funny, animalistic, pig-like look on the human body. They say, who cares for it? This idea is only because the moralists of the last 200 years have been approaching the public wrong. They made it as a mere insistence. They made it as thou shalt, and thou shalt not. That is not the way to convince an intelligent human being. Even if you're a child, you tell the child, don't do it. The child will try to do it when you are not. Because a child, a human being, is very intelligent. When you say don't, his intellect asks the question, why not? This is natural. In schools and colleges, you say that don't. In the lawns, right there about, don't walk on the lawns. Within 3 days, you will find a footpath there. When you give an order, and all army people know it, the orders must be positive, not negative language. Don't tell, don't do it. tell them what to do. Please walk on the cemented walkway. They will walk. But if you say, don't walk on the grass, everybody will start walking. Now the moralists have been going on. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not. And everybody thinks, why not? Now, every action that you are doing is activities prompted by your mind. Mind is the doer and not the body. Body is only a toolkit. Activities are undertaken, planned and thought of and decided upon by the mind, and then the hands and legs and other equipments function to express it, to execute your plans, your ideas. Mind is the decisive power or the doing. Mind is the instrument, the doer in every one of us, especially in the army. Because there is no time for you to think, to discuss, or to have a committee meeting. You have to take decisions on the spot. So you need an alert, vigilant mind at all times. If the mind is already exhausted and fatigued with its overindulgence in the outer world, that mind has not got the grip to come to a decision and act upon what you should do according to the circumstances available for you. So the wealth, the true wealth of a man is his mental vitality. And this is called in Hinduism as Lakshmi. Lakshmi is not cash. It's not money outside. It's only man understands it because that is the only thing he understands in the world. Real Lakshmi is the inner wealth, inner dynamism of the mind. If this is not there, that individual may be anatomically a human. You may give him your uniform, you may give him a gun, but the gun will be very easily available for your enemy to take and use it against him. Meet the challenge is necessary. There is a right way of meeting the challenges in the day-to-day life and a wrong way. The right way of contacting the outer world of challenges, of situations, even crisis, is a method by which, with the minimal mental exhaustion, you do the job most spectacular. These are the higher values. I'll just give you one example. If I love the world, and I've got a lot of love to give to the world, my disturbances in the mind is the me. But I am angry with the world, disgusted with the world, all negative thoughts. I hate everybody. The government I hate, the people I hate, my boss I hate everybody. The poor man's mind is never at rest. It is always in agitation. And such an individual has no reserve energy of mind. Okay? This goes on. It's the natural everywhere. So we say hatredness is a negative value, while love is a greater value. Here are some specific questions asked by the army officers because of their immediate application. They are very good ones. One of the questions is, what qualities and values are desired of a military leader? Whether it is a military leader or a leader in any other profession, the moral values that are necessary are fundamental. There is no change. It is the very heart of human endeavor. Whatever be your profession, or whatever be the field of your activity, the heart funds. And another one was, will the traditional moral values be relevant to today's environment? The traditional values and today's environment, one and the same. The environment cannot change the moral values. Your behavior can change. Your external behavior can change. But the values of the mind will be the same. It cannot change. In the modern times, can we take potassium cyanide? You cannot. It is a poison then and it is a poison today. How can you change them? They are all fundamental. The same value, love. You can't change it. Today, love is not that way as before. No. Your behavior may change, external behavior. Your expressions may change, but the values in you never change. They are all eternal. The another question that I have been asked is, on the point of end justify the means. This is the attitude of many of the modern men. And from that standpoint, they see that those who are unethical, immoral, corrupt, they seem to be prospering. While the honest, the noble, seem to be suffering. Now the joy and suffering are subjective. Nobody else can say that Mr. A is suffering or B is enjoying. You have to learn to live that life, then only you will understand the joys. People at home may think that you are suffering in the army, in the war front. Only when you are there, a true soldier, you understand the joys of it. Ordinarily, the rich man thinks that the poor man in the slum area is very unhappy, and every slum dweller thinks that the rich man is very happy. To be a rich man to know his sorrows, you have to be a slum dweller to know the peals of thunderous laughter that comes in the evening from these hutmen, because he has done his job and he got his pay and his children and wife around him and he is happy. Careless of tomorrow, he lives happily. So who is happiness or unhappiness? Mahatma Gandhi in the jail, will not his grandmother worry that my grandson is in the jail? Oh, he is suffering. But be a Mahatma Gandhi, then you will understand that he is so happy there because he is a part of his service to the country. So what is that you want? If only accumulation of wealth and properties that you want, go. Loot, plunder, kill, burn down and get it. But if what you want is a peaceful, quiet mind, which you can apply for your creative purposes, certainly a moral and ethical standard is to be maintained. Continuing upon this point, I am asked about the philosophy of end justifies the means. Everybody talks about it. So that whatever be the end, according to the end, The means can be good or bad in order to achieve the end. It is true. But don't forget that the end is only the sum total of the means. The means are the effects. Means are the causes by which the end, the effect is reached. So whatever be the means when you say, if immoral and vulgar means are followed, maybe temporarily you can see that there is a lot of wealth gone. But the moment it is discovered or you are punished for it, that very same end becomes very sorrowful. But if the means are good, the end also is good. The joy or the achievement or the success, the victory also is firm. But if unfair means, you are reaching your goal. The goal itself is the product of these unfair means. So it is negative. It can never be permanent. It can never bring about a salutary effect upon a country or a community or an individual's life.
And Swamiji, these contrary states of mind, what effect they have on the quality of performance of the individual?
Naturally. When you are doing it in the wrong way, the mind is very agitated. Agitated mind cannot apply itself consistently. That is why we find that the great, the great commander-in-chiefs in the world have been all very straight and morally good and ethically perfect. It is something like saying the modern man says a small-scale industrialist, he starts drinking. And if I ask him, why did you start drinking? Swamiji, in my business, unless I drink, I cannot sell my trade. I cannot come in contact with others. But then the top ones, the Tatas or the Birlas, look at them. They take only Ganges water. They don't drink, and yet they are on the top. This petty, paltry fellow, who is earning probably a few thousands a day, a month, that fellow says, unless I drink, I cannot contact it. It is not. It is a wrong notion. Similarly, army doesn't mean drinking. Moksha, look at it. Arise and over. Even though they are in the foreign places, they are teetotalers. The question that you are asking is how to sustain this. Enthusiasm is sustained when your hold on your goal is consistent. Yet, how does a man who is trying to climb to the Everest, even though tired, exhausted, and the snow coming, blistering snow coming, how does he maintain it? Because of his hold, of his idea that I must conquer and climb up to the Everest top. If that consistent desire is not inspiring you, at the effort, when the obstruction comes or difficulties come, you return. In Sanskrit, there is a great saying or a poem which says that some people start a work, and whatever be the obstacles and route, he never cares for it, but faces them head on and strives until he reaches the goal. Another type of people, they undertake great projects and continue working until they meet the first obstacle, when they will drop it and run away. The third variety is, and it seems to be in our nation the national talent, never start any project, fearing that all kinds of obstacles will come. Such an individual can never reach anywhere, gain any goal. any aspiration. So in order to maintain the man to strive on and discover the courage in themselves to meet the challenge, whatever that be in front of him, he must have continuously drawing his inspiration from the goal that he has kept in himself. Napoleon Bonaparte, even from childhood onwards on the Corsican Sea beach, he has decided. Somebody asked him, "My dear little baby, what do you want to become?" He said, "I'm going to become the Emperor of France." He did not know at that time the geography of the Europe, where the France is, but he has decided in his mind. And really, in his life, he came up. Even though he was not tall enough, he has joined the army, I don't know how. And he became, grown up, and he maintained that idea, reached the highest goal. So that it is a question of you holding on to your goal, drawing inspiration from it, and face all challenges, the man reaches the highest. All people who have reached the great goals in life, who have achieved stupendous heights, are all people who consistently held on to the goal that they want to reach and struggle on. Now the Jawan onwards, to all officers up to the general, how can we maintain these values? Inspire them and continuously, repeatedly explain to them the goal that we are keeping. Our country. Your job is to protect and defend the country. We have no ambition to conquer other nations. That is not the Indian tradition. But the sanctity of our frontiers we will maintain. That kind of an idea must be drummed into them, especially at the lower level, again and again and again. And the officers also must be pulled up the moment you see that they talk loosely or behave badly. Pull them up and remind them their great goal. Once they get that idea that the goal is great, they have got a greater self-respect in themselves, that they don't want to disobey and disloyal to their own ideal, and it can be maintained.
Just as I was saying that on one hand people think that Castellan you can't then appeal. On the other, they say that it has to be demonstrated from the top. If people are behaving badly, so in both cases, they say we can do nothing because you can't catch them young. Even if we do, out they come from the academy into the marketplace of the army, and they start seeing this, and what they have learned, they unlearn it faster, and they get on with the job. On the other hand, now we have to wait for the supernatural path that somehow, by coincidence, they must put the right set of people, the chief, the army commanders, the corps commanders, who all are willing to live a valued life so that they give a demonstration. Well, even if that grand coincidence can be arranged by nature, it can be a very short-lived. So, most people say, frankly, though it is desirable, it is a terminal case, you can do nothing. Under these circumstances, is hung between these two ends of the spectrum, individual office.
As a national program, they must be caught young and trained from school days onwards. True. The British Empire was built. The British Empire was built in the playgrounds of Italy. It is true. Yet they are the Ajarati Shrestha. The top ones, whatever they do, the others implicitly follow. It's a law. What they demonstrate in life is that which is followed by others. Now the question is, at the top also, how are we to get the top? And the argument is that we have already been established in that. If that be so, why do you have your training centers, your school? Why do you have it? Because this officer can never improve. So, is it not that we train them new techniques, new methods, take them to foreign countries and see that army doing? Is there not the methods of developing? In the same way, everyone at any level, at any time, can start the creative living, even though in his foolishness and ignorance he must have lived a lower life, he can start coming out. Even an alcoholic, nowadays, the age, they try to help him, and many of them come out of it. So it is not that you cannot be redeemed if you put forth the right effort. And the effort you can put forth only when you understand the logic behind it, the science behind it. A couple of questions that have been asked. How does a man acquire his individual sense of value? And why do people behave as they do? Values are acquired naturally by the individual under the pressures around, from birth, and thereafter he may change it slightly during education. But mainly it is under the pressures of circumstances. Some people come to accept intellectually a certain thing as the very goal of his life. Some would say that money is everything. Others would say power is everything. A third one says no achievement is great. Ravana is one who conceived in himself that the greatest thing in the world is money, power, sensual enjoyment. He has accepted it, and that becomes his value. This accepted intellectual concept of each individual becomes the value of life in him, and this value of life colors all his mental thoughts and physical action. One who has accepted that money alone is everything, all his thoughts are how to make more money, because that is his goal. And all his actions are to acquire, to possess, to aggrandize, by means fair or foul, more and more money. And he himself doesn't know why he is doing it. All his values of life color all his thoughts and actions. These values of life can be changed. There is another question. It can be changed by two methods. Ordinary people come to change their values by a very painful process. His own experience in life. It can be a death, an accident. It can be a great disappointment. Some shock must come to him from the world outside, and nature supplies it plenty. A sensitive man, these shocks are sufficient when he cuts himself out of the old pattern or way of life, and he turns into a new way of life. This shock can also be self-created. A new thought process comes to him because he has come in contact with a wonderful and inspiring ideology, either to another individual organization, institution, or through his study. Once thus he gets inspired, by an ideal, his entire lifestyle changes. A highly sensuous man, a highly sensuous man overnight we suddenly find him to turn to totally the other end of the spectrum. Extremely spiritual, religious. In the army, it must be your everyday experience. A really square-shouldered gunda of the town, once he gets entered in the army, and when he has gone through the process of the exercises and training, he becomes one of the most useful members of the society or the community. He wanted to have a field where he can express his strength and applauses from others. In the streets, he can do it only through Gundaism, and therefore he was a famous Gunda of that area. He himself walked into the selection board, got selected, and then he thought probably that it is wrong and therefore want to come out. But once it is a one-way traffic to the army, once inside, you can't come out. And there they get trained, and the man becomes one of the most productive servant for the society. Yes. So, as I said, these values in you decide the texture and quality of your thoughts, and the texture and quality of your thoughts determine the beauty or the ugliness of the performance in world outside. The Gunda was a Gunda not because he is really a born Gunda, but the quality of your action. He had no such ideal, a healthy ideal in him. When after joining the army, when he got trained, he has got a vision now, and therefore you find the quality change, the quality of thought change, and his performance becomes useful to the nation. It's different. Now your question is, how are we to change the values of life? As I told you, these are a shock. Everybody, very many people, after a shock, the wife died, the son in an accident, a great disease to your wife. When such a thing happens, all of a sudden, your ideal idea goes away. The old values change. A new concept comes. It happens. It's a very painful way. The other is by your own thoughts. As I told you, an ideal that you have gained, a view you gained from a book or from satsang, from contact with the wiser people, better people. And then you start rethinking. Just as, even though she had been the faithful wife of mine for the last 20 years and the mother of my 3 children, and for 22 years I've been with her and I loved her really. All my love for her can go overnight. One afternoon, the moment I discover a mistress in whom I start loving. Once as I hold on to that mistress, my love for my wife, my children slowly go. We hold on to certain values of life because we are fallen in love with them. And we have been living it for a long period of time. The moment we discover another ideal and get fascinated by it, the old ideas drop off without any effort. Mind cannot remain and function without an ideal in them. The quality and quantity of the ideal, the texture of the ideal determines the texture of your performance. The last of the question, very significant. What exactly is the duty of a soldier when he is ordered to do something which is against his faith of conviction? What is a soldier expected to do when he is ordered to act against his own belief, such as killing the citizen? In order to answer this question, is the entire Mahabharata is written by Vyasa. Everyone has got duty, no doubt. That is called the Dharma. But each individual has got definitely two different personalities. One is himself as a creature, and it means that individual is living in society, and therefore he has to be in contact with other members of the community. He has to be in an institution. As a member of an institution, he has a totally different personality. Bhishma Pitamaha was one of those who have respected the highest values of life throughout his existence. And that was his glory. Not only that he was one of the greatest warriors, but he refused to ever compromise with anything that is immoral or amoral. And yet, he fought the war among the Kaurava forces against Krishna and the Pandavas. So when he was lying down in the bullet bed, not yet dead, at that time Krishna goads Arjuna to go and ask him, why did grandsire, why did you join these evil forces and fought against the Lord? So he explains, as a member of an institution, you are not, you have got a dharma separate from the individual. As an individual, you live in the society. So as a soldier, your job is to obey instructions come to you. You are not there the right or the duty of yours to check whether it is right or wrong. Whatever instructions come to you, you have to implicitly obey. That obedience and loyalty to the army is the greatest dharma. In case you feel that it is very unjust, you have to leave your uniform, get out of it, and then from outside fight and remove the immorality in the army. You can't be in the army and then live against the instructions or the obedience. If you are a banker or a corporate executive, Your first duty is to see the corporation is functioning well. For that you have to do all that is necessary in order to maintain its prosperity and profit. That is not immoral. That is what you are doing as an individual. The famous case in London in the 17th century, where the judge had to pass a judgment upon his own son, who has been accused of murder. The judge heard both the sides and he passed the judgment. The accused must be hung to mud early morning till he is dead. After having passed the judgment and announced it in the court, he opened up his garment and went down and embraced the son. One is his duty as a father and a son. The other is the duty of the chair. There are two duties in everyone. So as a soldier in the uniform with the government gun in your hand, you are not to judge whether the order that came from the top is right or wrong, whether it is politically inspired, whether it is just or not, is none of your concern. Yours is but to do and die. Yours is not to question why. So there is no problem. In the Nazis, even though they knew that it is wrong, they obeyed and they were punished. Not because they obeyed, therefore they are true soldiers. But if they had felt that it is wrong and extremely immoral against humanity, they must have the guts to come away and then fight for changing the trend of the time. They obeyed. Their argument was that we were told to do so and we obeyed. Yes, you are right. But it is not a justification. In case as you are feeling that it is very immoral, it is time that you change you resign, and that spirit of sacrifice must be with you. But if I give up, what will happen to me? If that is your fear, stay on there. And when you are staying in the organization, you have to be loyal to the organization.